Most people think the worst thing a family can hand you at dinner is a dish you hate. Mine handed me a contract. Thick cream paper in a folder set beside the ham as if legal coercion belonged next to glazed meat and green beans. 10 adults around the table. One chandelier overhead, the same one my mother bought for a funeral and never took down. They all believed they knew me. The divorced daughter, the dependable one, the woman most likely to smooth over a hard evening with a polite smile. They had forgotten what I did for a living. I read documents. I noticed what people hid in margins. I had been back in my apartment for 11 months, long enough to stop jumping every time the phone rang. It was a one-bedroom above a dry cleaner on Ridge Street in Clarendon Mills, with a sloped bedroom ceiling and a radiator that knocked in March like it held a grudge. I was 41. I worked as a paralegal at Wexler and Shaw, 2 blocks from the courthouse. During my marriage, I had lost 2 pregnancies, and my family had treated those losses like misplaced receipts. Unfortunate, irritating, quickly forgotten. 2 weeks before Easter, my Aunt June called on a Sunday while I was sorting tax forms at my kitchen table. "Your mother's been quiet," she said. "I don't like it." "My mother doesn't do quiet," I said, trying to laugh. "Exactly," Aunt June replied. "She does planning." We talked about daffodils and her leaking barn roof, but before she hung up, she said, "Easter's in 2 weeks. Be careful." That Thursday, my mother called, sugary and warm. "Your father wants to see you," she said, which was reason enough to mistrust the invitation. Then she added, "The whole family will be there. Nothing stressful." In my family, nothing stressful always meant a trap had already been set. I drove to my parents' house on Easter Sunday at 3:47 and counted 5 cars in the driveway for what was supposedly an ordinary dinner. My father's Buick, my mother's Taurus, my sister Naomi's SUV, her husband Colin's truck, and a silver rental sedan with Ohio plates that meant my father's cousin Arthur, the family lawyer nobody invited for fun, had flown in without warning. I stayed in my car for a full minute, hands on the wheel, and understood I was not walking into a meal. I was walking into a verdict. My mother opened the door before I knocked twice. She hugged me too hard, called me sweetheart, and that alone nearly made me turn around. Inside, the chandelier blazed in the bright April afternoon. Colin stood near the sideboard, pretending to drink iced tea. Naomi waited in the archway between the kitchen and dining room in a pale blouse I'd only ever seen her wear when she wanted sympathy, and there, beside the ham, lay the folder. Dinner moved in slow circles. Weather, roof repairs, church flowers. Nobody touched the real subject until my mother folded her napkin and said, "Naomi and Colin have been considering a beautiful option." Naomi reached for my hand. Her eyes shone with a tear so perfectly placed it might as well have been rehearsed. "You're the only person who can do this for us," she said. Then my mother said the word family 6 times in under a minute, and when I didn't answer quickly enough, she sharpened. "Your sister took you in after your divorce. You owe her." I looked at my father. He nodded once. Colin looked at his plate. "Show me what you prepared," I said. Naomi slid the folder across the table like a gift. 18 pages, heavy paper. The title read, Gestational Surrogacy Agreement. I opened it and began to read. Page 4 held the knife. Clause 11 gave Naomi sole authority to demand termination if testing showed anything outside her preferred parameters. Clause 12 said that if I signed, and later withdrew consent, I would owe her and Colin every dollar they had spent on fertility treatment, plus legal fees. It was not an agreement. It was a cage with floral language around the bars. I took my blue pen from my purse and circled Clause 11. The room went silent enough for the refrigerator hum. "I won't sign this," I said, "and I won't forget that you asked." My mother's hand flew to her throat. Naomi stared at the circle as if I had struck her. Arthur looked down. Colin closed his eyes. My father said nothing. I stood, gathered my purse, and walked out. By Tuesday morning, Naomi had posted a message online about betrayal and selfishness. I answered by posting a redacted copy of the contract with 1 sentence. Read page 4. The town did. Her post vanished. Colin left by Friday. My father came to my apartment later and apologized for a lifetime of nodding. 14 months after Easter, I met my daughter in a county office playroom. She accepted the stuffed giraffe I brought and said, "It's soft." So was my no. It still held.